What's up? What's up? This is your boy Daquan back in here again. I pronounced my name a little bit more, adamantly this time because the captions have been remixing my name to something a little bit different. But we're not going to talk about that right now. This is your boy. We're back in here again, and we have our favorite robot, FLAK, inside of Borderlands 3, able to clear through the Mayhem 10 true takedown, which is very, very crazy, and able to just eat up bosses as well as just fly through all of the other good old Mayhem 2.0 content. And this build is really something that's pretty simple. You don't need a whole lot in order to make it work. There are a few things that you can utilize and capitalize on to make it pretty busted, to be completely honest. But those are some things that you don't necessarily need. This build revolves around movement speed, doing a lot of damage in an AoE area, and just being immortal is an added benefit. So let's go ahead and look at the skill tree to get this thing started off. Show you the red real quick. And show you the green. And then we'll go into detail a little bit later. Just to keep it nice and sweet and simple. Red tree is pretty much just stacking up the damage where you can. And the green tree is adding a little bit of damage, a little bit of cooldown, as well as a bit of sustain. So you can probably just rotate these points into like second intention or ambush predator if you want to do more and more damage inside this build. And just have like one point of leaving no trace. Probably work out relatively well. Your boy is tubing out here, so if you guys want to go ahead and, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, you can see when I end up dropping a good old video. And if you want to go ahead and support the video, you can leave a like. All that good stuff helps out. And if you have any questions about anything, go ahead and let me know inside of the comments below. So let's go ahead and hop into this build and talk about why our FLAK is able to eat through Mayhem 10 in just a few days. So the Yellowcake is a very, very destructive gun. People are probably familiar with the Yellowcake. People probably already have Yellowcake, so this is going to be something that's going to be good for them or good for us because we're going to be able to have a optimized build utilizing something that we should already have. It's very, very unlikely that someone doesn't have a Yellowcake at this point in time. But situation with the Yellowcake, you shoot it out into the air, this thing ends up splitting off into multiple projectiles. And the people that do play around with the Yellowcake are familiar with you want a little bit of distance between you and your enemies depending on who you end up shooting. And so this build is revolving around speed, similar to our aimbot setup that we have up. And we're able to reposition very, 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 very quickly. And utilizing the speed that we have inside this build, we're able to just carpet bomb the whole map. Is pretty much the gist of what we're doing with the Yellowcake right now. So Yellowcake that you do want in terms of anoint, this 300% increased weapon damage against enemies above 90% is going to be very, very, very good for you. And one mechanic that people don't utilize when it does come to the Yellowcake is the fact that you can actually have two inside of your layout. So this is a very, very OP strat. I'm joking. Alright, so we have a second Yellowcake. Second Yellowcake is very good in this situation because for those enemies that are below that 90% that for whatever reason do end up living, or they end up getting like dotted down to below 90% for whatever reason, having a second Yellowcake is relatively good. One with splash damage is going to give you a lot of value. This one isn't as crazy as this one is in terms of sheer damage from the card. Inside of our slot number 3, we have an OPQ system, and as its name says, it is a OPQ system. It has a faster projectile speed than the Yellowcake, and so we utilize it in those situations where an enemy is much farther away or very mobile and you aren't able to hit it with a Yellowcake too well. OPQ system is going to be able to blow those enemies up. Now you can run whatever gun you want inside of the third slot. The Sandhawk is very good, which is one of the new guns, and Anarchy is a monster as well. So you can just play around with these rest of these slots and figure out what you really do enjoy. OPQ system is one of the better guns inside the game right now. What's up, what's up? It is your boy, last minute edit Daquan, interrupting the video. For those that are unfamiliar, you can utilize a Hedgehog, and this is a Mayhem 4.1. This is going to be a very, very good gun to blow up some bosses. In this particular showcase, I'm going to be showing you how you can blow up Gravewort on Mayhem 10 utilizing one. And we have a Bounty Hunter on, and we have the exact same tree, but we just swapped over to Fadeaway. So I'm going to showcase that real quick for you. And there we go. We didn't even have, you know, we don't even have like real damage rolls for this class mod. We just have 1 weapon damage. But that's how you can farm some of these bosses. Really, really good to have a hedgehog. Well, back to the video. Now for our 4th slot, this is where the idea of utilizing a reflux or a brainstormer was really going to come in handy. Now the whole idea was to utilize the stopgap where we have the immunity, and then inside that immunity, if we got down to like 1 rack charge, we were going to spam the reflux or the brainstormer and get back up to like 3 stacks of Rakk Attack, and then from there we're able to just continue flowing. This was the idea, but due to head count kind of not really working out too well right now, this idea has fell flat, and yeah, you can just run whatever you want inside the 4th slot. Now in terms of the shield, you have a couple of really, really good options. Now we utilize this stopgap right here with the new anoint on action skill start, activate any effects that trigger on shield break or fill. I did a little video for this already, but the quick little rundown of this thing is whenever you press Rakk Attack, you're going to get that 5 seconds of immunity. And since we have Rakk Attack up very, very often, we're going to be immune a lot of the time. And it's going to make us pretty busted when it comes to staying alive. It is an insanely strong shield, the best defensive shield that you can actually get right now for particular Vault Hunters, and it does a lot of work. Some other really good shield options are going to be like the Rico shield from DLC 1. That's going to be fantastic for you. Transformer is also going to be a very, very good and huge shield for you to keep you alive inside this thing. And Frozen Heart with the ASC, to activate any effects that trigger on shield break or fill, is relatively cool to play around with. It's not nearly as strong as the stopgap due to you actually being immortal for 5 seconds rather than you being able to freeze everything. But the Frozen Heart is a cool little thing to play around with, utilizing the on action skill start, activate any effects that trigger on shield break or fill. In terms of your class mod, you can rock a Deadeye, a Cosmic Stalker, or a Bounty Hunter are going to be some really, really good choices. The Cosmic Stalker is going to give you more DPS when it comes to mobbing, and then the Bounty Hunter is going to be better in terms of DPS when it comes to bossing. Now the Deadeye with the Fast and the Furious with 3 points into that, it's going to allow us to get a nice little chunk of mobility. You're able to move around as well as get a little bit of gun damage, and then those 2 points into Two Fang are going to allow us to get a few more procs of our extra projectiles, or Two Fang pretty much, and just give us a little bit more consistency when it comes to that. In terms of your substats, having anything that ends up increasing your damage is going to work out relatively well for you. Flash damage radius is something that is relatively cool, but it's not needed at all. But I have enjoyed seeing chunks and chunks of enemies just blow up just off of the additional AoE area that we get off of the class mod. Cooldown reduction is also going to be something that I would recommend, especially due to the fact that we don't have head count flowing in. Cooldown reduction is going to be pretty nice. Then for our grenade, we have a Hunter Seeker. Hunter Seeker is relatively good for bringing you back Leave No Trace procs. We have that 50% corrosive damage ASC on this, due to the fact that we're doing radiation damage a majority of the time. And this added corrosive damage is going to help us out when we are going against armor. Crowd is also going to be good, but that corrosive is going to allow you to do a good amount of work against Wotan. Now, we really don't utilize the Hunter Seeker too much inside of this particular setup at this time, due to the way head count isn't really doing too much for us. So running a different grenade with corrosive ASC is going to be fine for you. A transfusion grenade is relatively good at bringing back your shield as well as your HP. So if you do have one of those laying around, you can go ahead and capitalize on that. So for the artifact, I'd like running around with a Snowdrift Victory Rush. That's going to allow us to zoom around at a very fast rate. You can run a Snowdrift Auto Idle as well if you want a little bit more sustain. Last Stand Victory Rush, Last Stand Auto Idle is also a very good option. And then you can just mess around with it and see what you enjoy inside this build setup. You can really lean more towards Victory Rush artifacts due to the fact that you have the immortality coming out of the stopgap, but you aren't reliant on having this particular stopgap due to you having a bunch of mobility inside this build. So don't feel like you are locked out of this build at all by not having the stopgap. You will have way more survivability options than just this one shield. But in terms of the substats for this thing, once again, things that end up boosting up your damage for the guns that you're utilizing majority of the time, and then cooldown reduction is also going to be pretty good for you. So let's look at this tree real quick. The red tree, Interplanetary Stalker's damage as well as Hunter's Eyes damage. Then we're getting some more damage from Two Fang when we get those extra projectiles. Big Game ends up boosting up our Hunter skills, and Hunter skills end up boosting up our DPS as well. Most Dangerous Game is more damage, and then Galactic Shadow is damage as well as a little bit of aggro reduction. And then Making 4 is giving us that critical hit chance, which is going to result in doing more DPS. For utility, we have Leave No Trace as well as Head Count. Head Count really isn't doing too much right now inside of Rakk Attack from my experience. And then Leave No Trace is going to be good for bringing us back ammo. You can move these points around if you want to and put these points into Second Intention or Ambush Predator if you do want more damage and to see what feels better for you. I don't feel like I was too reliant on either of these while running around with the setup. And then one point to Leave No Trace while throwing out Hunter Seekers is going to bring you back a cool amount of ammo. In terms of the augments, since we are immortal most of the time and we have those 5 seconds of immortality, we're going to be capitalizing on Rakk Accelerate. That's going to give us an additional skill charge for Rakk Attack. That way we have Rakk Attack up more often in that regard. And we have FLAK and Load. FLAK and Load, you really don't need too much. That's just going to add a little bit of damage in terms of your racks. Falconer's Feast plus Rakk Accelerate will give you like 14% HP back when you are throwing out your racks. It's not really anything crazy. And then the Falconer's Feast plus FLAK and Load combination will give you 28% of your HP back when you end up throwing it out. But I have preferred using Rakk Accelerate. Pet that we're using is the Aspiring Scorcher. HP regeneration as well as elemental damage. For our green tree, we have no points in the self-repair system because we are immortal a majority of the time. 5 points into Fierce Attack for some more damage. Eager to Impress is very, very good inside of Rakk Attack in general, especially inside this situation. Now we're going to be carpet bombing the enemies, and so we're going to be bringing back our stacks of Rakk Attack very, very fast. And having 3 charges of Rakk Attack is really good inside the setup because we're going to be overcapped on our Rakk Attack charges a majority of the time just due to the nature of blowing up everything inside of like 1 or 2 shots. On my BFFs is good for keeping our pet alive, lick the wounds so our pet can bring us back to life if we end up going down, and turn tail run, HP regeneration and damage reduction when we are moving, gun damage and fire rate when we are still. Fast and Furious inside the setup, more gun damage as well as more movement speed. We really don't care too much for the pet damage. Rage and Recovery is really good inside the setup because we are getting that HP regeneration. And while we are invulnerable for 5 seconds, we can still end up getting healed. So this is very, very nice. And then the power inside is giving us a nice damage increase. And a majority of the time, we're going to be at full HP because we're going to be immortal. So we're getting that full 50% damage increase instead of that 25 for those 15 segundos. Relatively quick build to put together. If you just grab a Yellowcake, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. And then having a good shield is going to help you out. If you do find that stopgap with that added immortality into it, you're going to be an absolute monster. It is simple, it is super duper effective, and this is going to be something that's going to allow you to farm up as you transition into the rest of the builds that are going to be for this good old game. These modifiers are okay, don't really care too much for them. Big hit mode is pretty nice. I ran the Takedown with Roguelite a few times as well. It's not needed, and it's probably not recommended, but it is very possible to go through the Takedown without ending up getting downed at all. So that's pretty much it for your boy. If you guys have any questions about anything, go ahead and let me know. Adios.